tell you what I want, what I really want.
Nice.
Okay. Hey guys, let's have a nice serious chat. My name's Phil.
I'm Chris.
And you are listening to the intro to episode 27. Today, it's a very somber episode because
people are not going to listen because just saying, "Oh, this is a news episode," is going to drive people away. I think.
Okay.
So
how do we phrase it?
I don't know.
Spin it?
This is an all current episode. This is what's happening in video games right now.
Now or a week ago.
Yeah, something in your video games is killing babies. Listen to the episode to find out. See, I'm trying to do it like 7. The news. Yeah.
Find out at 7. It's right. 4:30 now.
Something you don't know about your video game console may be killing you.
Yeah. We talk about some Destiny. We talk about Final Fantasy.
Yep.
We talk about The Order. We talk about Kanye, Kickstarter,
Rock Band,
Batman. I mean, we got it all. Battlefield.
Master Chief Collection.
Oh, we missed it.
Screenshots on Xbox.
Okay. Yeah.
So now you don't have to listen to the episode because we've just given you
the topics.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot to cover.
Yeah. So we talked about, like I said, current events, things that had come out the last couple of weeks, things that we thought of, and a couple of tangents.
Yeah.
So listen to this week's episode.
Yeah.
And
subscribe on iTunes.
Subscribe on iTunes, guys.
And Twitter us.
Tweet us all day long, guys.
Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop. That's the tweet I'm sending.
I could just create an intro of you doing beeps and boops over the different episodes.
Why are you looking through these old photos?
That's why I like hashtags and stuff. People do just search hashtags. Speaking of hashtags... Not a single goddamn person used
full penny?
The full penny hashtag.
Yeah, I didn't think they would.
I mean, I cut out the part where I explained how you spell it, but because I threw it on all the tweets, I thought at least one person, not even Jake. Jake had a suggestion, but
I don't
use the hashtag.
I don't see Jake using full penny.
It's not overtly obvious what it means.
I think it is. What would you think if you heard full penny?
If you follow, because like I was talking about like hey penny, like half penny, hey penny, which was like a thing back in the day. Yeah. All the other full penny hashtags, because there has been a handful over the years that Twitter's existed. It's all been about currency. So just saying.
Maybe my mind is just it's always
it's sunny. Where it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, and where they're always talking about full penetration. I mean, you can keep tossing it up there. I don't care, but I don't see anyone using it.
I'm just a little disappointed that not at least one person, even if it's out of context, just use the hashtag.
Yeah. Someone's just like, hey, guys, I got a question. Full penny?
Yep,
or no penny?
Here's my 2 full penny cents.
Welcome to the podcast. That's how we're going to intro.
Yep.
My name's Phil.
I'm Chris.
We are on episode 27?
27.
27. Of the This Is a Podcast.
Yeah.
Today, we have a lot of news to talk about.
Yep. It's been a little while since we recorded an episode because I was not feeling well.
Yeah.
So a bunch of news has happened between now and then.
Yeah. So we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
We got to put in our 2 cents. I'm just gonna keep adding like random S's and Z's at the ends of the words. We both have a notepad full of news notes. So mine are obviously in no particular order. Sometimes it was when they came up in the news. Sometimes it was when I remembered that it happened, so I jotted it down. So in no particular order, give me a news story. News me up.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. News.
Sure. I'll just start at the top. Again, no order.
Yeah.
The new Final Fantasy 15, I believe it is coming out with a 3-hour demo with purchase of
the
day
one
right? of Final Fantasy Disgaea or something shitty name. And I got to thinking, a 3-hour demo is a pretty big fucking demo.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not Final Fantasy big, because you think like some of those
still
games
like
are 80
3%
hours.
of the game,
Yeah. But I think even the newer Final Fantasy games aren't like the old grind 80 hours. Like, I feel like you could still get through those in maybe 20 to 25 hours.
Yeah.
So 3 hours is a pretty big chunk. And I don't
You don't know how you feel about it?
I don't know. I'm upset that it's only with purchase of another Final Fantasy game, and it's like a day one purchase. Like, there's only so many copies that have this little, sticker on the inside.
Yeah.
That's essentially your download code for this demo, or maybe it's even on a second disc. Because I would gladly download the demo, or even pay separately, maybe like $2
just for the access
for access to the demo.
Yeah.
But I don't think I want to buy a $60 game on day one just to play it.
Yeah, I mean, my feelings about the length are, one, it tries to incentivize you to buy the other game.
Yeah, for sure.
Two, maybe they are like, this is one of those 100-hour long complex games that we can't give you 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. You'll have no idea what this game is actually like. So maybe they thought 3 hours was a good sample.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you because Final Fantasy in general, like, you think the first couple hours are like you going around town, buying equipment,
slow,
like maybe leveling up your characters, and then going into the first dungeon, and maybe that's already at the 5-hour mark.
Yeah,
depending on how much you do. So I'm okay with the length, but at the same time, if it's a separate disc and like the save doesn't transfer over, if you played 3 hours of a game. And then you you got to a part where they're just like, play the game in March 18th or whenever the game comes out.
Yeah.
And you had to then do those 3 hours over again.
But I feel like it's probably a download code. And even if it's not, even if it was a disc, your game save would still save on your console or, whatever
but
if
it's coded as Final Fantasy 15 demo and then the game comes out and it's just Final Fantasy 15. I'm not saying that they're going to do that.
I just think that other games have figured out how to transfer game saves from... Because it's not like a beta, so it's not like the actual network code's different or anything, where it wouldn't be compatible with the new stuff. So I'm sure it's going to carry over.
Yeah. I don't know. That's my feelings. To me, that's crazy. That's crazy sauce.
It is pretty crazy.
To have such a huge chunk of a demo, because if we get to one of our other news stories, then like 3 hours is almost an entire game.
Why don't we just jump right into that then?
Sure. Why don't you say it?
So, a game came out last week, The Order 1886, and it was one of the few games that I saw at E3 last year that I was super excited about. Like, I don't own a PlayStation right now. I don't own a PlayStation 4, but that was one of the games where I was like upset I didn't have a PS4.
Yeah, it looked really good.
That and Star Wars 2121, which ended up getting canceled. So whatever.
Yeah, dodged a bullet there.
So if you don't know what the game's about, it is an alternate reality in, I believe, London. Is it London?
I think so.
It's 1886. It's sort of a steampunk Revolutionary War situation where you are fighting monsters, mainly, I think, werewolves.
Yeah,
are the bad
I believe
guys.
you're supposed to be like, it's almost like Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, that's what they are.
And like the person that's providing you guns is Tesla.
Yeah,
who creates these crazy guns to give you.
So, I mean, it sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the game is beautiful. Like, it looks great. They're comparing it. They're saying this is sort of the PlayStation's Rise, which is, the best-looking game on the console.
Yeah.
But there's been some criticisms of the game. You want to bring that up? Because you...
Sure. Well, a leak came out before the game was released of a full playthrough at 5 hours.
Yeah, somebody posted on YouTube, I believe, right?
Yeah, there was actually a couple different playthroughs.
Okay.
And they already had a full collectible guide before the game came out. So, it's been out there and too late. But the full game, cover to cover, 5 hours long. Now that the reviews are coming in, they're saying it's anywhere between like 4 to 6 hours.
Well, that's how, everyone plays differently in their speed, and if you play it more than once, you usually get a lot faster the second time through.
Yeah. But a full game, a full disc retail game that has no multiplayer. So there's...
Which I still think is a positive, but yeah, I know what
you're saying.
But as far as what you get for your money.
What you get for your money. There's no multiplayer. From what I understand, there's no... branching paths, there's no multiple endings, there's no reason to replay a game besides just to, I guess, replay it and have fun if you enjoyed it, but just one playthrough, 4 to 6 hours, no other game modes.
Overall, I'm not that upset with the length of it. 5 hours is on the shorter side.
Yeah.
But because I feel like, based on what I've seen and heard, it's a very cinematic story. It's very story. It's basically like watching a 5-hour movie, and because of that, I think it sort of makes sense to have
a shorter game.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of filler. You don't have like side missions. You don't have other things you do to pad the time of the game.
Yeah.
So just based on the length, I understand that you can be like, oh, this is a negative, but I don't think it should be a reason you don't buy the game, or it should be a reason a game gets a bad score.
Agreed.
On top of that, though, I heard it's kind of bad.
Yeah,
I've heard some criticisms about the story not being great, and if that's the case, then sure, give it a bad score. To be bad and short is not okay.
It's not a good combo. What I've heard is essentially everything it does is all adequate, but nothing is great.
Which really sucks, because I really wanted this game to be amazing.
Like, it's a cover-based shooter, which is fine, but it's like narrow hallway cover-based shooter. So it's like guys come at you from one side, they really can't like flank you, you can't flank them, so you stand behind cover, get headshots, and then you move up.
Right.
And then maybe you get into like a slightly bigger room.
And if that's the case, I don't know why they couldn't make this a 10-hour game.
Yeah. And then, like you said, like the story I've heard isn't super stupendous. So, like, your 5-hour cinematic story, which could have been, if that was the high point, if we were just like, this is a story game that looks beautiful and it just has, like minor playing, it'd be like, like a Walking Dead, like a 5-hour Walking Dead.
Or even like The Last of Us was very sort of, cinematic and quick time events, and there wasn't a lot of extra stuff to do.
Yeah.
But how long was that? That wasn't too long.
No, I mean, I think that capped out at maybe like 10 hours.
Yeah.
So like you said, like the 5 hours doesn't bother me. Yeah. Obviously, the most recent games I've played, I've been saying, have been like 2-hour games. So I'm fine with it. Granted, on a base level, if you make a 5-hour game, you can't charge me $60 for it. Like, that's kind of my internal rule. Yeah. Like, sell it for $40, and I'm 100% okay with it. Sell me a $60 game, and even if I haven't played them and I'm picking up 2 games, that's definitely going to weigh on my mind. Depending, like, if I go into both blind and I go, here's Skyrim, which I flip over the back of the box and it says 120 hours, and then here's Order, and I flip over the box and they'd never list it, but it says 5 hours. I'm going to go, these are both priced the exact same.
Right.
So I'm going to lean towards one instead of the other. But
yeah, I mean, I'm more disappointed that the game's not great.
Yeah.
Than at the length. I also heard a rumor that there's a lot of full frontal male nudity in the game.
Well, now I'm back on board.
Right.
Put that in the back of the box.
Full penny. Maybe they've achieved the elusive full penny, and that's why people are upset about it. My guess is
they didn't come out with it first.
My guess is because there's like werewolves and stuff, so there might be some like
transformation.
Yeah, and that's why. I don't think there's just a bunch of dudes in a locker room the whole time. Yeah,
I've looked it up. It is not great.
And it's like close-ups.
Yeah, like first
of the transformation.
Yeah, you're like, this is great. I'm really enjoying this, and then whoops, now I'm jerking off to an animal.
We turned a corner.
Yep. And you just feel dirty, and you got to shower.
Yep. All right, you got anything else?
Well, I got more, but I feel like I'm hogging the news segment. So let me.
No, I mean that was kind of my news.
All right, I'll do a stupid one.
Okay.
Kanye West is making a video game. As apparently he's been making it for a while. This isn't like, I'm going to make a game, and then he just puts it on the shelf and never goes back to it. He's been working on this apparently since his mom passed away.
Right.
Which is noble. And he's going to dedicate the game to her. And from what I understand, it is going to be about her going to heaven. Ascending to heaven. I don't know much else.
I feel like he's kind of using the subject matter to avoid criticism.
Sure.
Because it's a lot harder to rip the guy because it's like, I'm trying to make a game about my mom going to heaven. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But we can rip
But,
because
having said that, one, I feel like him working on a game for years or whatever, it's been a year since she passed away.
Yeah.
I feel like he probably just has like a poster board full of like magazine cutouts of things, and like that's his.
Like as a child.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have the jumping of Mario.
Yeah.
And the shooting of GoldenEye.
I mean, all I've heard is that he's making a game. I don't know who he's partnering with.
Yeah,
nothing. What the game is like.
There's no release.
If there's actually money involved. Like, I feel like it's not a publicity thing, but I feel like it's just something that has sort of gotten leaked out there. Not like, oh, hey, this game is actually being published.
Yeah, I mean, there's no word on any developers, any publishers, any art teams, what genre it's going to be, whether it's going to be an iPhone game like his wife's, money grab.
Right.
Or whether it's going to be, a PS4 exclusive Skyrim game. Like, there's no... That. Well, I'm just saying, like, there's no word on anything what it's going to be, so it's kind of hard to... I just bring this up for the pure comical matter of, like, why... Now that we're past the point of, like, the Aerosmith arcade games and, like, Cool Spot on his, NES debut, like, we're past the point of, like, these kind of gimmicky games. I think it's always weird when, like, a band or an artist, like, is going to be like, I'm going to put out a video game. Like, Avenged Sevenfold put out a mobile game.
Yeah.
Just, like, who are you targeting? Like, only people that listen to your music? Because,
and it's like, what skills do you think you have that allows you to properly make a game for the masses? Like,
yeah, I don't know. And like, what's Kanye's involvement? Is he just is he writing a song for the game, and is he just like, you can use my likeness, and then he's just dusting his hands? Because like, I can't imagine he's a great like, he's gonna build a story. He's not gonna be the storyboard guy.
No, obviously not. He's a crazy person. But I mean, if there's so little details, both now and the fact that this has supposedly been, building up for a couple of years, it's not going to happen. If it does, it's going to be awful.
Yeah.
There's no way it's going to be a good game unless if somebody else takes it and makes it their own and he contributes to it.
It's going to be Fallout 4.
Yeah.
You play as Kanye West's mom. All right.
I don't.
That's it. New story over. Just move on to the next one.
Okay. So speaking of music, I guess, in games,
sure.
This rumor's been going on for a while. We've actually talked about it a little bit ago on the podcast because Harmonix had sent out a survey about Rock Band, like what were you looking for if we were to bring it back and everything.
Yep.
Rumors have sort of come to a head, and they are pretty sure that there's going to be another Rock Band game coming out this year, or at least announced this year.
Yeah, for the new systems. Game Boy Color and Virtual Boy.
Nintendo 2DS.
2DS, yeah.
But yeah, the last Rock Band game, Rock Band 3, came out in 2010. I didn't realize it had been 5 years now. Oh. So that's pretty crazy. Not to jump ahead, but also to piggyback on this news, now Guitar Hero is saying, well, we're going to come back too.
Please don't.
So they have not said anything ever about, and Harmonix has slowly been building this, and like you've heard every couple of months you would hear something about it. And now that it's gotten a big press, after like a week or two of them being like, Rock Band's coming back, and everybody being like, yay, because Guitar Hero ruined the franchise. Guitar Hero's like, well, we're going to do it too then.
Let me take a moment to speak directly to Activision.
Yeah.
Don't
Fuck you.
do this. You will lose a lot of money.
The reason there hasn't been a Rock Band game in 5 years is because there has been 17 Guitar Hero games.
You diluted the market, even took away your own sales.
Yeah, you cannibalized your own market.
You put all this money into 10 different Guitar Heroes that everyone can't buy 10 different Guitar Heroes.
No.
So you ruined your own market. A. B. Harmonix was all of your best people.
Right, they're the one invented Guitar Hero. They invented the whole genre.
So, like, you can't compete with them.
Yeah.
And 3 is just, I don't know if the world can survive 2 games.
They can't. Absolutely
right now that require more plastic instruments.
People are just going to roll their eyes if they hear that both of the... If one of them comes out, even if it was just Guitar Hero, even though I don't think it should, people would be like, oh, okay, maybe we're ready. I'll look into it. But if they're like, hey, Guitar Hero and Rock Band are back, everyone's just going to be like, ugh, again?
Yeah. I mean, because here's my thing, right? And I might be...
Biased.
And this is even Guitar Hero vs. Rock Band.
Yeah.
This is... I have a whole closet full of fucking plastic instruments.
Yeah, you do.
I have 2 guitars, a drum set, a bunch of mics, whatever, like the Pro guitar. Yeah. I wanted to get the drum cymbals at some point. I have plenty. You even have the keyboard. I eventually still have to get the keyboard.
I have the cymbals. I had a bass for a while.
Like, now you're going to come out on the new system. You're obviously going to have to get either they make it an adapter, which is great. That'd work. Or B, have to get new plastic instruments.
That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. How do you think they should do... First of all, are you excited that they're coming out with another Rock Band?
Yes and no. I loved Rock Band when it came out, and I loved 2.
Yeah.
And then it slowly started to wane on 3.
There was nothing wrong with 3, but it wasn't great. It wasn't different enough, is I guess what you're saying?
Yeah, well, because 1 obviously changed the world. Here's drums, here's a bass.
Yeah.
You know, here's something completely different than just one guitar, one person.
Yeah.
And then 2 came out, and it was just... It's still all the same stuff, but now it's 10 times better.
Right. It fixed all the problems it had, and it sort of took it to the next step.
Yeah. And then 3 came out, and they added a keyboard, and they added all these, like, pro stuff. So now you can really take, you know, the world by storm. But I think, and this is, maybe we might have some agreement here, is Rock Band is the perfect college game.
Yeah. And you're not in college anymore.
When
so.
3 came out, I was out of college. 2, I was still in. Yeah. It still worked. But 3 came out, and sure, you get a bunch of friends together, and maybe you have a great, like, 2 nights. Not in a row, obviously, but 2 great
epic
nights of
weekends.
partying. And then you're just like, cool, I'll play through the campaign by myself, so I can hear all the songs. And then that's it. And then you're done. And I feel right now, Rock Band 4 could come out. It could have they could say, Phil, let me borrow your iPod. We're going to turn every song on your iPod into a song in the game. We're not going to have any terrible songs.
Yeah.
I'd still be like, that's cool, but I'm kind of...
So
I'll check it out when it's $20.
Right, so I think another part of this for me, too, is how they're going to handle the peripherals, right? So, like you said, are they going to do an adapter? I mean, I think they should give you an option. Adapter's great because you already then have all the people that have already bought all that stuff or already invested in the game, feel like they don't have to start over.
Yeah.
So... that would be good to have that option, but I really do think they need to come out with new stuff.
Well,
technology-wise, like, you know, just looking at some of that older stuff, it just is not going to make me want to play anymore. I know it's stupid, but if you look at the, like, Guitar Hero 2, just like white guitar with the big buttons, like,
I agree with you 100%. Like,
I'm not going to feel cool playing that.
Well, you look at, and just the technology of things that are, like, busted. Like, you're, like, the drums, for me, like... break more than anything because depending on, obviously you're not having a pro drummer play, you're having a bunch of, you know, your friends, maybe they're drunk, maybe they're sober, whenever you're playing,
and there's a lot of wear and tear on that stuff.
There's a lot, like, if you hit the cymbals too hard, sometimes now the sensitivity can move, and now a cymbal doesn't read, or not cymbal, but the pad, the foot pedal. I've had 2 broken foot pedals.
The foot pedal, I mean, they sort of improved that later on in the other iterations.
Yeah, by making, like, the metal
for me, the people that don't know how to play drums great is, like, there's that little plastic rim around the outside of each one of the drum pads, and that is constantly getting hit or cracked or messing up your sticks, like...
Yeah.
So, I just want something to look cool and futuristic. I want, like, you know, a more synthetic, awesome-looking drum pads, maybe. Guitars that are more like the pro guitars or even look like that way. I mean, even the Beatles Rock Band guitars looked awesome. Like, those are cool.
Yeah.
Like, it would be fun to have a whole new set of things.
Yes.
But in a way that makes it worth it, not in a way that's like, I have to buy the same stuff just to do the same stuff I did before.
I would totally love to have new instruments.
Yeah.
If I was to get it, I'd want everything updated. I'll pay the extra, whatever, $60 if I was really into Rock Band and say you release your game for $60 and the combo for $120 or whatever it's going to be. My thing is, right now it's a junk collection. And you're like, you can't do anything else with all of these plastic instruments. Yeah. So I would have to be 100% on board. I would have to, like, before I got the new Rock Band, I'd have to get friends and I'd just be like, can you make a commitment every Wednesday for our band, our fake band, to play? And then if it's like, yeah, totally, every Wednesday we're going to have a minor Rock Band party, we're going to play through the career together, then it's worth it. If I
well, it's like, or you could just be like, hey... we're in a band together. You can buy the guitar. Like, we're going to go, you know, we're going to split this 3-4 ways, and we'll each buy an instrument, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's also a possibility, but it's just you would have to have the commitment. For me, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You'd have to have the commitment from anywhere between 3 to, like, 5 friends that are just gung-ho on Rock Band. If it was just me and you that were like, yeah, let's totally play it, 2 people's not enough.
If we got, like, Jake on board, or like had a rotating other person.
If we had Jake or rotating other person, like 3, sure, minor, and we're still committed where it's going to be like a weekly thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, it's just like, I wouldn't buy it if it was like Caitlin kind of wants to play and you kind of want to play, and it's going to fall apart in 2 months, and I'm going to be like, yeah, that was fun. We made it through the first 6 songs, and we never played it again. Because I just feel like it's a cautionary tale. Once again, I'm gonna have a closet full of now newer drums and newer guitars.
Another thing too is, how do you feel the way that the previous DLC should work? So Harmonix has proven with the Dance Central series that they can take songs from previous games, even on previous platforms, and allow them to be accessed with the newer versions of the game. So I think if they can somehow, I mean, it's a lot harder for Rock Band because there's hundreds, maybe thousands of songs they've released.
Because they even did the Rock Band Network that allowed bands to release their own stuff.
Right. So if they can find some way to adequately give you your back catalog without having to repay for anything, that's not a deal breaker for me, but that would be a huge selling point, I think. And I think they're going to do that.
Oh, I think they have to. Because you have to know that the people who are going to be really hardcore about Rock Band and who are going to want it are the people who already bought 100, 200 songs.
Yeah.
So if you say, like, no, we can't, like, we can't make that conversion, or you have to pay, whatever, $30, then they know that they're hardcore, their most loyal of loyal, might not be into it. And then you just lose. You're not going to get the casual people that maybe, you want it just like, I bought 5 songs. You want those to carry over, and then the people who bought 200. But the whole problem is licensing. It's like you have to essentially re-license up all those songs again for a whole nother whatever. 5 years.
When they get into issues. How do you feel if they sort of went the Dance Central Spotlight route, where it's like, okay, instead of having a full-fledged game with like story and a bunch of other extra features and social stuff, what if it was a $15, $20 game, and then you get to use your back catalog, or then you get to also use like DLC? So it's like a smaller pared down game, but it's like, hey, you can play this now on newer consoles. We got a couple new updated cool features, but it's basically a la carte where you just buy the stuff you want.
Wouldn't buy it.
You wouldn't buy it?
Because I'd be like, then just release these songs for Rock Band 3 and I'll dust off my old stuff. If you're not going to give me something completely new to jump into, if you're just like, hey, we got some new songs for you and we updated,
But what if it's like, okay, for like, you get a brand spanking new awesome guitar. Like, it's got new, like, its technology's way better. And it's like $60 for the brand new awesome guitar and the full game. Like, because it's like a $20 game now.
It wouldn't.
It
wouldn't tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be like, it's either got to be. It's got to be like an all or nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, if you give me a game that's just like, hey, we got an extra like 60 songs, so we put it on this $15 to $20 game, and you can use your old instruments. Just like, well, fucking just re-release those songs on Rock Band 3 because you didn't do anything for me. I don't think the Rock Band formula can change enough that it's not just scrolling notes. So they're like, if they'd really have to sell me that they're just like, this is what makes this Rock Band so great.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just like, you're going to have something in the background that I can't pay attention to because I'm watching the screen, and you're going to have scrolling notes, and you're going to have songs. It's the exact same thing as all the Rock Bands, so...
What would be your ideal thing that they would change or add to it? Is there something that you're like, that would be absolutely awesome, even if it's outside the realm of like technology at this point?
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, because I'm thinking the way that they do things now, I was fine with.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously you have your bands and they can pop in and out, and you have your no fail mode for your party section. Like, if you're playing with your parents and they just want to get in, and you don't have to worry about them being good. They fixed a lot of the stuff, which is 3 is great. So I mean, like, my whole thing would just be like, your music selection. But then again, at that point, it's just like, just give me DLC for 3, which they started doing
like,
again.
Would you want like a long story mode? Would you want like customizable instruments? Something like something crazy like that? I don't know.
No, because the story mode's pointless anyway. You're not going to be able to make a Rock Band story anything
well, it's just
more
it's
than
a world tour. You go around to different cities and play a set list of songs.
You could have gave me Rock Band 1, which was literally just a menu screen, and you make up your own story, or you can give me 3 that kind of has cutscenes of you getting a van.
Yeah.
They're interchangeable to me. I could care less about the
story. I
don't
know, Lego Rock Band kind of had a story, and it was really fun. You just need to play this game.
Okay. I'll get to it once I finish every other game I have ever.
Yeah, including all the Lego games that haven't come out yet.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're gung-ho on Rock Band.
No, I'm happy they're thinking about it. It's a franchise I like. I like harmonics, and I like they haven't really done anything wrong so far. They really haven't messed up anything yet.
No.
So I'm very interested to see what they come up with.
I hope it does well. I agree. I think harmonics is great. I want to see them continue because I think they do unique things.
Yeah.
And they actually make do on their promises or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So I hope this doesn't put them under by any stretch of the means.
Yeah.
But they would have to do a lot to sell me on buying a whole new get-up for Rock Band.
Also, you don't even have a next-gen console.
But I'm saying if I did, hypothetically.
Okay. Yeah. No, I know. Okay.
All right. I'll give you one.
Okay.
I'll news you up since we haven't used that phrase yet today. Okay, I don't know how. I got to think of how to phrase this.
Yeah.
There's a big story about a game called Goddess.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you're familiar with this. It was a Kickstarter game done by Peter Molyneux,
who famously did the Fable games.
Who did Fable, and before that did Dungeon Siege and Populous, and he was legendary back then. He's kind of trailing off as he gets older. Fable was really big.
Lion's Head is the company, correct?
Lion's Head was the Microsoft company that he worked for. He ended up quitting, forming his own company called 22 Cans.
Yeah.
They came out with this game, Goddess. It was completely backed by Kickstarter. They had all these grand, ambitious plans. It's going to be this constant world that people join in multiplayer. There's going to be, God modes. Anyway, there's going to be a bunch of shit. They haven't delivered on all this stuff. The game is still in early access in Steam. I downloaded it. I haven't played it. I probably regret paying for it, whatever I did at the time, because now I hear that it's awful. But they are now saying that they're probably not going to be able to make any of the stretch goals that was on Kickstarter, such as like adding multiplayer, blah, 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 blah. And now it has been released that Peter Molyneux and his team, the majority of his team, are already at work on another game. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called like the Order 1886.
Yeah,
stupid like that.
Pretty sure it's called that.
And so like the people who are still left working on this game are just like,
hey guys, you kind of left us alone.
We're going to do our best to fix what's wrong, but your head's gone. Peter Molyneux.
Right.
So that's the shitty news. But I guess the only reason I bring this up is for people, a bunch of people are up in arms because they want refunds.
They have the right to be upset.
They have the right to be.
Yeah.
But they want like refunds, and they want, like Peter Molyneux's head on a picket fence, and they want this to be a warning call, and you shouldn't be able to release games, and they want Steam to pull it.
Well, that's what early access is all about, though. You understand that going in.
And even like my thing is with Kickstarter is that Kickstarter should always be a cautionary tale.
You
all
should
these
know,
people
guys. Yeah.
who donate whatever they want to donate, $1 to $500.
Yeah.
That there is a big possibility that something happens that prevents whatever you're backing to not be completed.
Right. Both legitimate reasons and non-legitimate reasons.
Yeah. There's constantly stories of people who just take the money and leave. There was one guy I remember reading, this was a long time ago, who used the Kickstarter money that he got for whatever, making a board game or a video game.
I think it was a board game, yeah.
To use that money to move locations.
And then
because
he was out of money.
Needed to be in LA or whatever it was. And then he was out of money.
Yeah.
So you just funded some guy to move apartments or to a house,
yeah.
And now they're all screaming. And I get it. What he did was completely shitty.
It was more than just move to. Obviously, he used it to move, but then it was also the cost of living for like the 2 years that he was supposedly working on the game.
Yeah,
he hadn't done anything on the game, but was still using all that money.
Yeah, and he claims like, "Oh, I'll totally get everyone refunds once I make the money back." It's like, that's not going to happen.
No.
Like, I feel that there's always these stories that come out of people who back something and then they just get screwed over. And I get Peter Molyneux is kind of a bigger name, and you're thinking, like, this isn't going to backfire in any way. But he has a history of over-promising in games.
Yeah, he really does. That's what I was going to bring up, too. It's like he made that really cool Connect like demo thing that was supposed to be a game where it was like Milo, right? So it's like this little boy, he was you can interact with him using your Kinect. So you could talk to him, you could show him objects, which would then appear in the game because it would use the camera to scan it. So it was this really big revolutionary idea. It's basically just Seaman with the camera.
Yeah.
But he's like an idea guy. He is not a follow through and produce good games sort of guy.
Yeah.
Like certainly when he has the backing of other people and the whole studio that he's not, I guess, in charge of, because when he's in charge of it, he's like, okay, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah.
So he kind of gets distracted by shiny objects and is super into those things for the moment.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if he's followed through with a full release game in the last 5 or 6 years.
I mean, like, I just remember Fable, the big promise was that every action was going to have a reaction.
Yeah.
And it, like, get cut in battle, have a scar on your face forever. Stay out in the sun too long and get sunburned. And some of those things were implemented, and it was still a big, groundbreaking, like, look at all this shit that can happen to my character. My character can get fat, and get skinny, all this stuff. But it's never inputted the way that
because
you
can't.
You can't, exactly. You can't, every time you get hit, have a scar.
Right.
You'd play the whole game, and your guy would just be a bunch of,
cut marks. And what are you going to do? Spend, 8 months on figuring out the technology, just how to get a character sunburned the entire time, and then not, create other characters in the game?
Yeah. But I mean, again, this is news in the fact that, look at this train wreck, and he's essentially said, he's done a couple interviews since, and he's apologized, and he's just kind of like what you said, I'm a big idea guy, yada, 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 and he says, we haven't given up on Goddess, we're still going to work on Goddess, but obviously he's still in the same company, they're just moving on to a different product.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just my whole thing with everyone up in arms is just, Kickstarter is not a promise that you're going to get something. Right. And I think too many people think that, and they think they're funding and that they're going to be ground floor, oh my god, I funded this game. Here's my copy. It's not out to the press yet.
Yeah.
It's just no, you gave a guy $20 to do what he wanted with that $20. You can write it off for tax reasons, but they don't owe you anything. It's not a pre-order.
Yeah.
Because the game might not come out.
Right. I don't know. I also have a Kickstarter story, but I feel like when it's somebody like that, when it's a big studio head, when it's somebody that's legitimate, that's made games in the past, you feel like there's less of a risk there.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I definitely, if you were supporting this over the coleslaw guy, or the potato salad, or whatever, you're okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's made a bunch of games in the past. He knows what it takes, what the time frame is, how much money that we're going to kind of need. I totally get that it's a little bit more secure, but everyone who pitched in, $5 or $10, who's just yo, where's the Goddess game I was promised 9 years ago, or whenever the hell it came out? Just you're just gonna have to write off that $5 or $10, man. You're not getting it back.
Right. Well, that was the point. It's $5 or $10. It's not supposed to be everything. That's why you go to thousands of people to fund this thing. Is because it's I can't, have one person back everything.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you see great Kickstarters fail that you're just I would have loved to have that come out. But I've never backed a single thing, and I'm never going to. Yeah. Because at this point, it's just why? Why would I do that? Why would I back it when so much bad stuff? There just now games are coming out that were originally kickstarted.
Yeah.
And there's still hoopla over promising versus not promising.
Yeah.
Broken Age is the one that I can think of. Double Fine came out. They raised a shitload of money, and Kickstarter was still new, and they came out with episode 1 of a 2-episode game, and they ran out of money making episode 1.
Yeah.
And everyone is on their case, and it's just that's because they asked for, $10,000.
Yeah.
And they got $10 million, so they're well, we can increase the scope of this game. But because they didn't prep for having the $10 million, all of a sudden they're just well, we're going to make it this long, and we're going to get Elijah Wood to voice act and all this stuff, and next thing you know, they're out of that $10 million, but they made a great part 1. Now they don't have a part 2. Right.
And another problem that comes into it is that games are always going to cost more money than you think. Even if you know what you're doing, even if you're a professional company that comes out with a game every year, it's always going to end up costing more than you think. Yeah. Because, like you said, in this instance where their budget all of a sudden got huge, the scope then changed so big. One, they hadn't planned for a giant scope, and two, like if you expand your scope to fit the money, you're always definitely going to run out.
Oh,
because
like, something's going to come along the line.
Right. Whether it's like, you have no contingency plan.
Oh my God, this computer got wiped or whatever. Something simple like, And now
you don't have money to fix it because you can't go back and ask for more money.
Yeah.
Also, you don't have a contract and an obligation and the financial backing if you need it from like a big publisher to be like, okay, here's some more money. Here's an extra $100,000 to finish this game.
Yeah.
Or also, they don't have, like I said, the contractual obligation to be like, you have to come out with this game at some point, so make it work. So with Kickstarter, it's like, okay, they do the best they can. If they run out of money, then they run out of money. They can't ask for more money, and they really have no obligation to release it.
Yeah, I mean, if they certainly can start another Kickstarter, but at the same time, like now
like,
people
nobody are not going to pay for it.
There's no way that anyone would support something and we're just like, hey, we ran out of money.
Yeah,
they're going to be like, we want your heads on pikes. A lot of heads on pike talk. Kickstarter. Anyway, so this transcends into, I think I'm going to start a Kickstarter because I got a great game idea.
No, it is the absolutely worst transition we could have used because there's a new Toe Jam and Earl game that's going to be, they just started the Kickstarter like a day ago. Mm-hmm. Luckily, they've already got like over $100,000 in the first day. They're asking for $400,000 total. But yeah, so Toe Jam and Earl, fantastic game. From 92 was the first game. It is a sort of top-down treasure hunt 2D sort of game.
It's like Destiny.
Almost exactly like Destiny. But yeah, there's two alien creatures crash landed on this planet. It's Earth, but it's super weird, crazy Earth. And you have to scavenge around the planet, picking up like presents, which are then items that you can open up. You don't know what it's going to be. You get like random items as you search for pieces of your ship to leave the planet and go back to your homeworld. So anyways, they came out with that game. Then the second game, they were halfway through making it, and Sega was like, hey, no, I need you to do a side-scrolling platformer because that's what's popular. So they scrapped it and did that for their second game, Return to Funkatron. Wasn't as good, but it had some cool features, had some fun, crazy things. And then when the original Xbox came out, they did a Toe Jam and Earl 3. They introduced the third character and made everything 3D. They tried to sort of make it more like what they wanted the original second one to be. But at the same time,
it's
too.
3D.
But it came 3D, and it was the same thing, too, where, like, last 6 months, they came in and were like, hey, no, you need to change this and add these other features or get rid of those features. So, after all this time, they're like, okay, we want to make another game. We want to make, like, sort of the true sequel to the first game. Like I said, they're asking for $400,000. There's only one of the two original co-founders of the game. And they've implemented...
Jam or Earl?
Yeah, neither one.
Oh.
But it's the visual style is a little bit weird to me. I don't know if it's going to work. Hopefully it will. But it's the characters are all hand drawn, and it looks like a sort of they refer to it as 90s underground comic style.
Okay.
So that design's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. That kind of fits the thing. But then the levels are like 3D, like. It's supposed to look like the first game, but they use like a 3D like shaded model and all this stuff. Okay. And it's the levels are going to be randomly generated like the first game, but they are going to use elements of the second game. Like there's like the coin operated machines. There's like these parking meters. You put a coin in, and then you go to this weird like funky land with all these weird like squiggly lines. I don't know. If you haven't played the game, whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyways, they're going to use some of those fun stuff and some of the characters from the second game. But it just looks a little bit weird to me. The hand-drawn flat animation on top of a 3D world looks very bizarre to me right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just their pitch video. Who knows what it's going to actually end up looking like.
Yeah, it's hard to judge anything based on the pitch video because, again, it all depends on if they have the funding. If they don't have the funding, how many artists are they going to get?
Right.
Yeah.
But just looking at their stuff, looking at the stuff on their Kickstarter page, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm really excited for it. I want it to work out. I want it to come out. And their all their backing goals, their whatever they're called, their incentives.
Yeah.
They go from $1 to 10,000 or 25,000, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And you keep getting more stuff, obviously. But one of them is you get to play board games with them and Tim Schafer and some other people because they're friends with Tim Schafer. He's actually in their Kickstarter video and stuff. So it's funny because I think there's like 2 different tiers from like the bigger ones. So like for $10,000, you can either get all these prizes and your name in the game and all this other stuff, or you can play board games with us and get these other T-shirts and get your name like on a wall or something like this. So they give you choices even with those bigger stuff. But it's crazy. Like there's already been a couple of people that have donated like $5,000.
Yeah, that's the thing is there's also the caveat of nothing's final until they make the goal. So like those 5,000 people those people who donate $5,000, there have been fake donations.
Well, they
can immediately
back out.
Pull them out.
Yeah.
But
like I said, it would just been when I had looked at it. It had been less than 24 hours. They're already over $100,000 out of their $400,000 goal, and plenty of people had done the $500 to $10,000 level.
Yeah. No, I mean like Toe Jam Minerals kind of has that good backing where again it's a name. People know Toe Jam and Arrow games, even if it's just the recent, Wii re-release. So that has it going for it. Again, it's also the nostalgia kick. A lot of Kickstarter games are nostalgia-based.
Right.
They're like, we want to revitalize this genre. Like point-and-click adventure games. A lot of those are coming through Kickstarter because everyone wants them, but companies aren't making them. So it's a great platform, and I hope it works out. And I would love to be able to toss $10,000 in and play board games with Tim Schafer.
Well, you don't need to. Yeah, that'd be awesome, though, right?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I'd love those weird incentive goals. There's one that I was looking at. It was a game called Seventh Guest. Came out a long, long time ago. It was a puzzle game. I've sent some pictures for Picture of the Day. But they were going to make the 3rd game in the series. And if you donated so much money, you would be one of the ghosts and have a speaking role in the game, which is fantastic. Yeah. But it's just like, donate $15,000, and you're like, who? Like what? Like I guess when I think Kickstarter, you think you're appealing to the masses.
So yeah.
So you're just like, oh, we want everyone to be able to pitch in. I always think those super high incentive goals, though, like you immediately pulling the masses out of that. You're just like Donald Trump. Do you want to be?
Because that's the thing. Do we get 10,000 people to donate $1 or one person to donate $10,000? It's always there as like a safety net. I don't think they're not going to rely on that.
No, but here's what I would like to, and this is just for that game, and maybe for Toe Jam and Arrow as well. Is just like make it a raffle. Don't say like $10,000
random prizes and stuff.
$10,000 would guarantee you get to play board games or something like that. But you're just like, at least if you donate $5, you'll be entered in a raffle to play board games with Tim Schafer and blah 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 blah. And we're gonna pull 5 names.
Yeah.
And then so it's just like, oh, I only donated $5, so I might get to do this super awesome, one of a kind opportunity.
But in that situation, you would have to pay for your airfare or whatever.
Yeah, you'd have to pay for your airfare and your hotel, and they'd just tell you like, here are the dates. You can pick one of these 5 dates. That'd be fantastic. It'd be the same like Seventh Guest failed their Kickstarter, which is fine. Whatever. But just like that would have been the same thing. It's just like give anyone the chance to be in the game, not just like the 3 richest kings of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Like just be like put, Johnny Joseph from Brooklyn in the game if, his number got pulled. Like it's probably one line.
Yeah.
It's probably just like a passing like that does look hot, and then you just walk out of the room or something stupid.
Right.
But it's just like give people the chance.
One of the incentives is they'll put you as a character in the game, like they'll hand draw you as an Earthling in the game, and you get feedback too. They're like, we're not just gonna draw a character of you and be like, hey, fuck you, and like put you in the game.
You're a baseball cap,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Like you have like a really fat face, right? Yeah. Too bad you're in the game now.
Oh, look,
thanks for your $10,000.
You're a bald white guy with like blue eyes.
Yeah.
No, I'm a chick from.
Too late. You already said yes.
Whatever.
But anyways, that's an instance of a Kickstarter that I think that you should look into. Don't, obviously, you're still going to donate with the same amount of risk, but for $15 you get like your name in the credits, something else cool, and you get the actual copy of the game.
Yeah. Cool.
So I hope that comes to fruition.
If all of our fans donate $15, they will have $30.
They will have upwards of $30.
I have one more news story. Is it the same one as yours?
I don't know. I have like 1,000.
You have more than your bottom one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'll give mine, and then you can finish up.
Okay.
The new Batman game, which you were very excited about.
Yep. Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight is rated M. The other Batman...
M for mature, which means that I have to go with an adult to get them to help me purchase the game.
The other Batman games in the series, both Asylum and City, were both T for teen.
Correct.
So they are going the M route. They said that there are a couple things that they wanted, the people who rate this wanted them to cut, and they were just like, we can't cut these from the game. They're
too
pivotal.
Important to the story.
I am totally in favor of this move, because I always felt that this gritty reboot Batman should be rated M.
I didn't even know the other ones were rated teen until this story came out.
Yeah, like, there's the thing is, like, you think, like, Arkham City, you're in essentially a walled-up prison city with nothing but, people who have escaped the asylum, and you're like, why is everyone not swearing? Like, you should have... I'm not saying, like, everything has to be the F word over and over again to, like, look at how cool we are. But, like, I just feel that it lends itself better as a mature game that can handle more, I guess, the mature themes, such as, drugs and alcohol and cuss words and violence and stuff like that, as opposed to teen, where it's just like, they might say shoot.
But apparently those things are not in the game. There's no swearing. There's no overt drug use, I guess. That's what they said. Those are the two things they said. That they're like, we didn't change the way we came up with the game or developed the game. Just this one happened to be rated M for mature, and we weren't willing to back down for it.
So then
which I think is good.
Violence is
so it's violent. It's probably got to be the full penny, right? It's. I'm sure it's violence and subject matter. So whatever the ratings boards decide are intense. Like there can be emotional things that cause them to give M for mature. Yeah. Other than just like cutting the guy's head off.
No, I know.
So
there's always the themes that can be just rated M. Yeah. But to me, it's got to be a pretty extreme theme to not be rated teen. Because you think like the themes in the broad sense are just like the loss of a loved one, kind of shit like that. You're like, what is so mature that like a teen couldn't technically handle it?
I do kind of wish, though, they would have developed this game as a mature game, like you were saying, because they could have had more of the... it's hard to not use swearing as just like a bullet point, but it's like, swearing or just more... Like, how is there not more mature themes in this world? Yeah. So...
That's the thing. Like you said, I didn't even know the other ones were teen until the story came out, because I could have sworn that I'm just like... How is Arkham Asylum, where you're just stuck in a prison with convicts, not?
I mean, I guess Batman doesn't kill anyone, but like, there's plenty of villains. There's plenty of like torture and things brought up.
You can throw people off of buildings in Batman Arkham City. You like drop people on their head and stuff. Like,
you're knocking them out.
They're dead. You can like punch them through walls. They're not just like taking a nap.
If you shoot them in the chest with a taser and it happens to make them fall off a building, you didn't kill them.
Yeah, the taser killed them.
They stumbled and fell. They were clumsy.
They were drunk. But not with alcohol, because that's rated too high.
Also, I guess there was a secret message hidden within the most recent trailer that's come out.
Yeah, you can unlock the bad guy's picture or something in their hall of records if you decipher the code.
Which is still pretty cool, I mean.
Yeah.
The game looks awesome.
I'm not much of a code breaker, so I didn't even sit and attempt it.
No, you wait 20 minutes and the entire internet has done all the work for you. So why would you even attempt it?
Because I like puzzles.
Yeah.
That is all of my news, so now it is a run-through of the rest of your stuff.
All right. So, Telltale, we can't go an episode without talking about them.
I think we've gone episodes without them. Okay.
I edited in later.
Okay.
So, they got new person. I don't know exactly what his position is, but he's the former CEO of EA. Right?
Telltale just went down the drain real quick.
But he hasn't worked there. Like he wasn't like the current CEO of EA.
He hasn't been good.
So I guess that's some news. We'll see. I feel like because they're expanding, because they're becoming this sort of big business, they do sort of need that sort of business head to the studio to make some sort of both financial and networking decisions for them.
Sure.
Anyways, we'll see how that turns out. But the real news is that Lionsgate has made an exclusive deal with them. So now they have the rights to all of their properties, which includes TV shows, movies, and other entertainment facets. But I mean, they could make like a Hunger Games thing now. They could make like a Mad Men if they wanted to. Like they have access now to all these licensed properties.
And I'll be honest, if Telltale came to a product that was unlicensed by, they could just ask, like, can we make an episodic game?
Yeah.
And they would say yes.
Yeah.
Like, what company is going to be like, no, we don't want all this added business that you were going to give us by making a superior game.
Right. But it's interesting because in sort of a culture of non-licensed games anymore for the most part, because they've just been so awful for so long,
Yeah.
they're kind of exclusively doing licensed games, and they're nailing them every time for the most part. So I will be interested to see what they end up doing with this.
Again, it's always the worry, and we've talked about this a lot with Telltale, is just don't spread yourself too thin, guys.
Yeah, which they sort of are, but also they're expanding to accommodate that. But when you expand so much, then you're also not the same company you used to be.
Yeah,
so...
if you expand and all of a sudden you're a giant conglomerate that has 10 million people and you can churn out 5 games,
right?
Great, but you're going to have some weak links on those teams.
And you don't have the same identity you had to start with.
And you're like, no, all of a sudden we could make a game every day.
Yeah,
don't
prove it. Yeah. All right. Some other stuff is, you heard about that guy, who his network name was Kermit the Frog? Do you know this guy?
Sounds familiar.
So it's been going on for a couple months now, but he basically has, he goes on PlayStation Network. He uses the moniker Kermit the Frog, which apparently isn't even his username.
Okay.
He is borrowing it or stole it from somebody else. Okay. But he convinces people to give him access to their accounts via SharePlay. So one of the more famous incidents that happened recently was this 11-year-old boy gave him access to his Destiny characters because the guy's like, hey, I can help you level up real fast. I know all the tricks. I can get you to level 20 in, a couple hours. So he then turns over access because SharePlay, you're allowed to give your friend sort of access, but you can't do anything. You're basically giving him the license temporarily. So he promptly just then deleted the kid's characters and then gave it back to him. The kid had video of what was going on, and so that's kind of how this guy sort of got caught. Yeah. But apparently he's done this with a bunch of people. He also used to do it with GTA. And I don't know. I guess he's just sort of come out, said who it was. It's a 17-year-old kid. His name is Chris.
Surprise, surprise. There's a 17-year-old asshole on the internet?
And since everybody knows who he is now, there's been, because GameStop did a story about him, they've interviewed both him, some people that have been affected by him, but also people that have sort of encountered this gamer tag. Some people that said that he was, they had played a raid in Destiny with him, said he was, really weird and creepy. And just because when you play with the raid, you're playing a couple hours with somebody, sometimes your conversations get on a tangent or pretty deep or whatever. And I guess he was just being really weird and creepy. And he was like, my New Year's resolution is to not be good to anybody. And he was bragging about how he would delete people's profiles and all this other stuff. And he was just being very just bizarre. The guy said he was coming off as just a very weird kid. Yeah. But I don't know. Other than that, it was in the news and that this guy, obviously he just gets pleasure from causing people pain, and that's why he was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the news here is that there's another kid that everyone should avoid in the world. Yeah. So, but I guess the whole thing is just I know if he's targeting little kids, it's not much you can do. Right. Except for if you're a parent, just be more aware and maybe teach your kids about internet stuff. Because obviously, this is in the scale of tricking your kids online. Yeah. This is the small of just I'm sorry your game got deleted, Johnny. Right. But far worse could have happened.
Of course. But it's a bit, it's a shitty situation, and he had high-level guys and stuff, and it's he spent a lot of time and energy into this just to have this guy come and step on a sandcastle for no reason.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying it excuses the fact that he did it. I'm just saying, it's a cautionary tale of, don't give your shit out to anyone unless you know them. Right. And that's rule number one.
And if your parents, too, I don't know if, you have the ability on some consoles at least to limit what functions people use. You can get rid of social functions. You can get rid of, I guess, SharePlay is one of those things. Yeah. Where it's it's a cool feature and stuff, but maybe if your kids don't know how to properly interact with people out there, also you can just block people from sending them messages and stuff.
Yeah, I guess, again, I don't blame the kid because he was 11 years old or whatever. Yeah. And, he, some guy tells you can level up quicker. Sweet, yeah, tell me how. Yeah. But I put a lot of this, besides putting it all on the fact that this 17-year-old kid's just a giant douchebag.
Oh, it's 1,000% his fault.
I also put some on the parents, like you said, because you have to kind of understand what your kid is doing online.
Yeah.
And whether, like, I can tell you right now that if me and Caitlin decide to have kids, and obviously our kids are going to play video games at some point, like, I'm going to block every goddamn thing that I can, and then I'll slowly start opening it up as things happen. Like, obviously, every social thing's going to get blocked, and then they're just like, well, what about my friend Doug? It's like, okay, I will add Doug to your approved
then you can do that too.
Friends.
Yeah, if you're friends with somebody too, you can give them more access to stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like block everybody that's not my friend.
Yeah. And then it's just like, okay, we'll add this kid on, and now you can talk and play games with him. But it's just like, you're never, as a, I would just say, like, you just have to be cautionary, like, about what could possibly happen. And granted, this kid could have gave away share play is obviously just trading the games, which is weird. But like it'd be one thing if the kid's like, "Hey, let me get your Xbox account," and then
which happens all the time too.
He has access to your credit cards as a parent. You're just like, you have to fucking know what's going on. With your kids, and it's again this 17-year-old kid, giant douchebag. It's the same thing. Like we could bring up like the people who do YouTube and do swatting.
Yeah.
We've never talked about swatting. If you don't know what it is,
I think we talked about it once.
Did we?
Yeah, but we were talking about Twitch.
Oh, okay, but it's like it's people who are doing a Twitch live stream, and then some asshole calls and gets their address and tells the police some sort of story.
They don't even need their address. All they need is they can give them the Twitch stream, and they look it up by IP address. This is what they do. So that's why you can do it to anybody.
But you call the cops.
Yeah, I'm saying the cops do all the looking up of the address for you. You could literally do it to anybody.
Oh, okay.
Which is why it's such a problem.
Yeah, but then essentially they get a SWAT team or a bunch of cops to raid somebody's house who's playing a video game.
Yep.
So that on camera, whoever's Twitch streaming gets
break
a gun
down the door and
pointed at the back of their head. Which, you know, as a normal human being with normal emotions, and I guess my mom hugged me enough, I don't understand how somebody gets pleasure out of that, but again, it's something that happens.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a fault of the internet culture, but I do think that these people are using the internet in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think because the internet exists, it's causing people to be shitty and weird and bad like that. I think they're using it as a tool.
No, it's exactly what it is. It's a tool. There's shitty kids have always existed.
Yeah.
But back when this didn't exist, shitty kids were just like kids who just beat you up.
Yeah, they would call you names.
Fights, they called you names. Like that was their way to torture you. Now it's just like, well, now it doesn't have to be kids that are physically strong to do the beating up. Now it can be every, nerd in the world who knows how to use a computer that can now be like, oh, well, I don't need to face you face to face.
There's no consequences.
Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, one person got caught swatting, as far as I know, and he faces up to 5 years in prison.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets it. Like, I mean, I don't know the kid personally. No one has ever done anything to me.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you have to set an example, and if the first person who admits to have swatting multiple people admits that he essentially misused all his police funds.
Right. Because it's one thing to do it once, to see if it'll work or see if you can. Like, just the whole of like, hey, I have this crazy idea. Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if this happened? But he was like making a career out of it.
Yeah.
Like, he was doing it over and over and over and over.
So yeah, I mean, that guy should get 5 years. This kid that's 17 that deletes people's accounts named Kermit the Frog, if they've already done an interview with him, like, granted his name's now in the ether, and I hope people do some shit as like payback to him.
Well, that's the thing. That's what's been happening. Because he doesn't actually have this account, because he kind of stole this account to do the shitty things with too, and the guy didn't know he was doing it. The guy's like, I keep getting hate mail and all this stuff I have for like 3 or 4 months, and it's like, I have nothing to do with this stuff.
Yeah.
So at first nobody believed him until this article came out, and you know who the other kid is, and the guy took credit for it and said that's what he did. That was kind of his response too, was just like, hey, he wasn't sorry for it. He's like, you got to be more careful. He's like, it's their fault for giving me control of their shit.
Yeah. And again, like, if he tricked somebody our age, then it's 100% our fault for trusting some asshole to trying to cut corners.
Yeah.
But no, you're targeting, like, kids to get their accounts. Come on.
Yeah.
11-year-old kid who just wants to play Destiny probably has, like, 3 games.
Yeah.
He's like, well, fuck
Let
you,
him play
man.
it. Yeah.
You can't do it to a kid.
It doesn't really teach them a lesson other than
you can't do it
to a kid, guys. Girls and boys play with each other, but you can't do it to a kid. So they talked about it for a while, but the Xbox now can do screenshots.
Yep.
So it hasn't officially been released to everybody, but I'm part of the preview program, so I have access to the screenshot functionality. So you've always been able to record videos, say Xbox record that, or now there's a button press for it. But now you can also do that with screenshots, which is cool and fun. I just don't know right now how great it is at timing.
Yeah.
Because you have to say Xbox record that, or because you have to pull up the menu and do it. I don't know if there's like a delay to like, oh, I'm assuming you said this 3 or 5 seconds ago is what you actually wanted to record. I haven't tried to do it in like a moment, like an action-packed moment.
Yeah.
I've always done it on like a still shot, like either a screen or like I walk up to something. My way around that was I was hoping to record the video and then go capture a screenshot of the video, but it won't let you do that.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's probably the best way to do it if you do something cool and you'd want a screenshot of you getting a headshot.
So I don't know if maybe just the functionality is not there yet, or if they did it for other reasons, like if you're watching somebody's Twitch stream or if you're watching copyrighted material, they don't want you to take a picture of. I don't know if there's that reason, but I did, like, one of the options you have is to request features if you're in the beta program, and I did request it as a feature because, like, I feel like that would be the only way I'd feel confident of getting that moment that I wanted. Yeah. And also,
otherwise you're just screaming, like if you're in the middle of a firefight, you're just screaming Xbox picture. You're just like, hopefully one of those out of the 7 times you yell is a good picture.
Yeah, but I think it is cool, and it is nice to be able to tweet a high-resolution picture of the game you're playing rather than a shitty cell phone picture. So
the comment because of my Mario picture?
No.
Yeah, no, I think the picture thing's great. I think it seems like it's an easy addition.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do video, why not just have that screenshot function?
Yeah. Also, there's been a lot of upgrades to the Upload Studio, which is the like on-console sort of editing software that you can use. And now you can do like you have choices of like countdowns. So it's like if you want to do like a top 10, it'll automatically put numbers in between, and you get to choose your thing. You can do like title cards. You can do like voiceovers. You can do any fun transition that you want. Star wipe.
It's the only one to use.
So that's pretty cool. Like I haven't really been using that as much as I would like. I've made like 1 or 2 montages just to mess around with it. But I mean, I guess I don't know. It makes me want to like make videos and do stuff.
Yeah.
And play around with it.
I mean, you certainly can. It's more to me like what's the outlet?
I have like 300 like Halo 5 beta clips that I just recorded because I'm like, at some point I'll just make a little montage and throw up like maybe 3 or 5 on the Twitter page.
Sure.
But I just kept recording stuff, and then it was like so overwhelming that I had so many things. But I was like, maybe I'll do like a top 5 like
moments.
ground pounds or something like I don't know, just to do it.
You could certainly do that.
Yeah.
We have a YouTube channel.
We do, but also like I can just tweet it because it's all integrated into Twitter.
You can put it up on YouTube, and then you can just tweet the link.
Yeah.
And then maybe you could get people who necessarily don't follow us
That's
who
true.
can search on YouTube
but they're gonna be like, you suck, man, you're bad.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean,
no matter what you do, that's what they're gonna say.
You'll also probably get swatted, but that's your choice.
Yeah. So Battlefield Hardline, they've released some post beta notes. Like they're gonna tweak some weapons, basically make the starting weapons easier to use, and sort of nerf some of the other better weapons. And they did say that Hotwire is going to be their signature mode, so they're going to sort of focus on that.
Well, that's what it sounded like. Before you came out with when you talked about it. It's just like because I knew Hotwire was a mode. Obviously, I didn't know anything about it, but it was just like they need something else to just break up deathmatch and whatever, capture the flag, whichever. So they have a mode. Of course, they're going to promote this as like the big thing.
And I think coming out of they probably knew going into the beta, but coming out of the beta, that was what everybody was talking about, was just that mode. Also, at this point now, it's gone gold because it comes out in, I think, like March 17th or something. A lot sooner than we were expecting when we talked about it last time. So that's cool. Also, there's been some like Halo news, Halo Master Chief Collection news. They're close to the next content update. The one that they were originally going to have
people beta
test, the sort of not the public, but a wider audience that doesn't work in the studio. They ended up not doing that, so they say that's very close. There's a whole shit ton of changes and fixes and whatever, and I'm sure it's going to cause more problems. Also, they're giving you a free map, and they decided to remake another one of the Halo 2 maps in a new engine, so it's Relic. They've given you some screenshots of that, how that's coming along.
Let me steal a question from another podcast that I was listening to.
Yeah.
When they talked about Halo. Even if, when they release this, let's say it's a week.
Uh-huh.
I feel like a lot of people have maybe given up because multiplayer has been janky. So do you really see, especially with like Battlefield coming out, and then Halo 5's technically around the corner.
Yeah, it's a long block, but it's around the corner.
But like the game's been out, I know, over 100 days now, over 3 months.
Yes.
And I'm sure everyone who got it right away tried to put it in, and then all the multiplayer is broken and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to come out with this update. I feel like a lot of those people might have already moved on. So do you see all of a sudden like the Halo thing just revitalizing everyone to go back in and play multiplayer?
For me, this is not a fix a broken game patch. They have been doing that like weekly. They have been coming out with bug fixes and patches to fix more immediate problems every week since it came out in November. So I would consider this is no longer a broken game. There's some bugs here and there which pop up both from other patches and just from playing it for a long time. So this is more like an overhaul of the system. Like they're changing like the UI, they're changing like menu screens. This is supposed to be like a title update would be on like the the dashboard for the Xbox. They're trying to there's like new features, new looks, all this other stuff. So this isn't like, hey, this was the game that we should have released a long time ago. This is trying to be like an evolution of the game. So I feel like all the really, really important bugs they've already fixed. The multiplayer has been working pretty well for 3 months now. So like all that's the main problems have been fixed. But I don't know. I mean, the people that liked the game have been playing it throughout the entire time anyways.
Yeah. No, like,
the
people it has a long single-player life.
Yeah, for sure. The people that just wanted to play the multiplayer, they might have left in the first week or two anyways. And so, I mean, they could have had a decent experience if they would have... they would have given up in the first 2-3 weeks, month already, then they probably didn't care that much to begin with.
Okay. But I know just when I was listening to, and I won't give them credit because I don't want them to steal our viewers. They basically were just like, all three of them have the game. They both have, it's everyone's got Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and they're just like, that ship has sailed. They're like, no matter what they upgrade, whether they give me new maps or new shit, they're just like, the Halo ship. I played it for the 2 months when it came out, and now I'm ready to move on. So all this update and fixing and re-breaking things and then refixing them, they're just like, they lost me. Like, they got the sale for the game, so they could give two shits if I'm playing it or not. But like they say, obviously this isn't going to have the staying power that like a Halo 3 or a Halo 4 had.
Well, it was never going to, because it's not a new thing. It's all, for the most part, old stuff, except for like if you replay Halo 2, then once you're done with the couple-hour campaign, then
it's
be
new
done
just
with it
for
anyways.
like the console. So you figure like obviously everyone who had an Xbox One probably bought this. You'd think that would still have at least staying power until Halo 5.
But everything up other than the multiplayer basically worked anyways. Yeah. Like all the single player stuff. Like when I started playing, I was jumping between multiplayer and single player, and it's like, I was having problems. I mean, I was playing the Halo 2 anniversary playlist from the beginning, which apparently didn't really have any problems. That's why I never really noticed anything. But anytime I'd run into like an issue or something would be down, I would just go play another campaign. There was so much other stuff there, and like I played it for a long ass time, and I still have a lot to do in the game. Like, I
think you're the exception though, because you actually care about single player or want to play single player. Where I think, and this is a generalization, so everyone can yell at me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the majority of people who now buy big budget first person shooters are multiplayer first, second, third, and fourth, and then single player fifth. Like that's their ranking.
Right. But I mean, I mean, there's still plenty of people playing the multiplayer, so it's not like, oh, the multiplayer is dead, so now I can't play. If you've moved on to something else, it was because you've moved on to something else. I mean,
okay.
I feel like I don't know.
I mean, obviously, I can't speak from experience because I haven't.
And I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, I never tried it when it was broken. I'll never try it when it's fixed. So, like, I won't know. It was just one of those things that they brought up when I was listening to a podcast earlier this week because I do that to work as well. And then I was just like, oh, that's kind of the good thought. Is just like, what else has come out in that 3-month time frame that probably, like you said, just lost people initially because they want to play Sunset Overdrive and stuff like that. So they might not necessarily go back. And then it's the second part is just like how many people want to try and now go back to it and hope that it works for them. Because obviously, like you said, you haven't had a problem, but there's other people who, whatever they're trying to do, they can just never connect.
I mean, sure, there's random bugs here and there, too. And, like, maybe if you're trying to play, I know there's, like, an online co-op bug where it, like, wouldn't save one of your progress. Like, that's annoying, and that would stop you from playing the campaign, maybe.
Yeah.
But
it is what it is.
Yeah, another thing that we've never really mentioned is 343 Industries that made the game was supposed to release a mobile game, a Halo Spartan. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a sequel to Halo Spartan Assault, which came out on like Windows platforms, so like PC and Windows phones and all that stuff. It eventually came over to the console, but that was supposed to be released in December. And because they were having these problems, they're like, we're not gonna release that game. We're not gonna finish that game until the Master Chief Collection is
completed,
what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I think that was an honorable move because they certainly had the resources and the backing to just release that game anyways. Even if, I mean, I'm sure it was finished at that point, but they made this decision as like a sort of a like, you need to trust us that we're not just gonna
move on,
yeah. And we're not gonna ask you to pay more money even if it's for other stuff when we haven't giving you money for what you deserve.
I mean, I commend them because, and just like them doing the ODST thing for free, it's just like, you're doing stuff to rectify the situation, and you're not just being like, well, fuck, Halo 5's coming out, we gotta do that. So sorry that this part's broken and that you really want to fix, but we'll get to that after we release Halo 5, and hopefully that releases perfectly. Then we'll go back.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be hard for them too because they already put in way more effort and time and money probably into this thing than they wanted to, just because they wanted it to be a cool, awesome experience for people, and then it just wasn't working. And so they've probably spent, I mean, last 4 or 5 months they've spent just trying to stop the ship from sinking. Yeah. So, which has got to cost a lot of money and resources.
Oh yeah, just eating up people's time to retest thing. That's something that's already came out. I mean, anytime you think of all those like patches or updates or stuff like that, it's like somebody's sitting there still hammering out this game that they should have moved on from. Yeah. Like you think like old school way of thought, which of course doesn't happen anymore, is but when that game's released, the game's released and you move on to a new project. Yeah. So if someone's just like, hey, finish testing Halo Master Chief Collection, send it off to ship, and then all of a sudden they're just like, all right, I'm ready to work on Halo 5. And
if there was a bug in that game, it was there for 30 years. Like you didn't have a way to even change anything. Yeah. So there's been some rumors about characters that are going to be in the new Mortal Kombat game. I don't know if you've seen this. So the first one is kind of
Predator.
More. That was the one that was just a Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
So Ed Boon, who is one of the creators of Mortal Kombat and is head of NetherRealm Studios, who makes it now, tweeted out a picture of one of the Mortal Kombat characters versus, and then on the other side was a Predator, and it was like, hey, this was a really cool fan-made Photoshop, but he used the term like, apostrophe shop, and I think that confused a lot of people, because they're like, oh, the Predator's in the game now, Predator's a playable character, and like every news outlet ran with it, and so that was never confirmed. That was, like you said, this was a fan-made thing that I thought was cool that he put on there. That's not to say that he won't end up being in the game. What do you think of the Predator being in the game?
I'm fine with it. I feel like it suits Mortal Kombat perfectly.
Yeah, so much so that there already is a character that is the Predator, which is Cyrax, who I really enjoy playing anyways. But I do think, they've sort of made this universe where like anybody almost could fit into it. I mean, like Freddy Krueger was in their last game, and it's made sense.
Yeah, I mean, like you take like any of those like sci-fi horror. Yeah. You could put Freddy Krueger. You could even put Jason in it. I mean, granted, like his moveset would just be like throwing machete.
Right. The cool thing about
walking slow.
Yeah. The cool thing about Freddy Krueger was, because he sort of has that sort of mystical powers because of the Dreamland stuff. Everything that he did sort of tied into his character, but also would make sense to like have a crazy move where a giant glove comes out of nowhere and grabs you and stuff that. But the other one, which is people kind of didn't really talk about because this whole Predator thing happened, was they got the rights to use Spawn in the game. Todd McFarlane gave them the rights. He's like, I want them to use it in the game. I want Spawn to be a thing again.
Yeah, which is kind of a little desperate plea.
Well, because he's
please just put Spawn.
When you say Todd McFarlane, all you think of now is the action figures that he makes, which are awesome and cool, and he makes it for a ton of different properties, and he does it well. But Spawn was like his baby. Yeah. So he's kind of like, I want Spawn to be a name again. So I think Spawn would work perfectly in Mortal Kombat also for the same reasons.
He was in Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
I never played it.
Yeah, but I mean,
I remember him on the cover of Soul Calibur.
I'd rather see Predator in the game, even though it means they probably wouldn't do Cyrax. But I think any of those other licensed characters. I mean, even Kratos was in the PlayStation version of the last game too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think fun, crazy DLC like that is always interesting.
Like, I'm fine with those too. I mean, like that's what I would love about a fighting game that would keep me entertained is that if you release a lot of characters, like just a trickle characters. I know a lot of people would be like, why didn't you put them on the disc? And I don't want to pay $2 per character or whatever the hell it's going to be.
Yeah.
But like, if you can make them where they like, obviously give me my Mortal Kombat characters on disc. Give me Scorpion and Reptile and blah blah blah. But then if you want to have all these, like, you want to have Predator, you want to have Spawn, you want to have Freddy, Jason, you know, you want to have Jake Jarvie, whatever, like all these characters that get made, put them on there as just a huge store. Yeah. And then I'll buy what I want to buy, and it'll be perfect. And then I can extend the life of my fighting game far beyond just, like, the core characters in the story.
Yeah.
But there's also the bad way to do it, which is give me only, like, 4 characters.
And then make me pay for everything?
And then give me Scorpion,
which is not what they're
Sub-Zero
doing.
And Sonya and Johnny Cage, and then be like, hey, do you want Liu Kang? That's $2. Hey, do you want,
No, because I think they already have like at least 20 characters, 24 characters. This is all just, it would be DLC.
Yeah. Because I think of like Marvel versus whatever, Capcom or whatever it is, where it's just like there's fucking, 30s, 40s characters. Yeah. Like, it might seem overwhelming, but for someone like me who doesn't get into the competitive side of fighting games, I want to be able to play the game with my friends, and we can always keep picking a different character. And no one is essentially like, if there's only 5 characters and just like,
once you go through the thing, you're like, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, I'm really good with, so and so. You're just like, okay, well, you can't play him, so you only have 4 characters to choose from. But if you give me like 40 characters and you're just like, well, I'm really good with Cable, it's like, okay, pick one of the fucking 39 people that you don't know their moves for, and it's a fair fight.
Yeah.
So more characters, the better. It's really more just about pricing. If you make every character like $10, it gets expensive fast.
No, I don't think they're going to do that. I'm sure they're going to do like a season pass, like get the first 3 or 4 characters, which is what they did for the last game. But I think it's something like it's between like $3 and $5 per character, or you can buy them in packs. Another thing too, I didn't have this written down, but like Killer Instinct Season 2 is getting pretty far along.
Yeah.
I played a lot of the first season. I played as much as I could. I got all the achievements, which was a grind and was hard. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the game. Since then, obviously, another studio has taken over because Amazon bought the original developer. It just seems weird to me. It doesn't seem like the same game. I know they've made a lot of overhaul of the systems and stuff, but just all the new characters, none of them seem really interesting to me. Like, they had like TJ Combo and Maya, which were from other games, but like then they did like Omen, which was basically a shadow version of one of the main characters, but like the design looks weird. And then now there's this giant like golem character that's just a bunch of rocks and stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the same game, and it doesn't even feel like Killer Instinct anymore. So I'm a little bit, I don't know. Obviously, I haven't played it. I would like to talk to somebody that has played it and said whether or not it's as fun as Season 1 or if it's even the same game anymore.
It's always
but I'm a little bit disappointed.
Change, though.
Right, and there still hasn't been like Sindar, which has been like one of the characters they announced forever ago. Like, it should have been probably in the first season, but was like they didn't finish it. So I don't know. I'm glad I haven't played Season 2. And the main reason I haven't played Season 2 was because they just tacked it on to Season 1 as far as counting gamer score and everything.
Sure.
And because that was such a long, hard completion for me, I didn't want to touch that.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to my other point. Did you see the website that our buddy Chris 2 tweeted at us?
How long to beat? I've discovered I was going to tweet him back. Okay. This is on me.
No, it's okay. I didn't either because I wanted to talk about it on the show.
But yeah, I've actually stumbled on it a couple times. They really just give you how long it takes to beat the game, and it breaks it down into a bunch of different categories. How long does it take to get all the achievements versus how long it takes just to run through the story versus how long it takes to get all the collectibles.
Right, they break it down to like, hey, like main story, side story, main plus side story, 100% completion, speed, or they even give you speed runs and stuff. So I didn't get too in depth with the website, but it's like as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh great, another thing to make me like neurotic and crazy about my games because I care about stats and I care about all this stuff. So now it's even more things to look at.
So now before you buy a game, not only are you going to look at the achievements, you're also going to look at how long to beat and go, I don't have 120 hours to dedicate to
that.
This game.
I would say would be the positive effect of it because that's something that I have already sort of done the best I could. I would go and look at like playthroughs or walkthroughs or roadmaps and see how long they estimate. But sometimes they are wildly inaccurate and they differ wildly from website to website because it's like one guy. It's like
I think
took me 45 hours to beat Fallout, so it's like, well, that's not the standard though. Yeah. You could beat it in 10 hours or 600 hours.
I think when I discovered the website, just out of curiosity, I looked at Grand Theft Auto 4 because I was playing it a lot.
Yeah,
and I think their like estimated time to completion was like something like 40 hours.
Yeah,
and I will tell you right now, that is a farce because just multiplayer alone, you're looking at like 200 hours.
Right. And that's what I couldn't tell, too, so I did sign up for it to see if there would be sort of the integration like TA does, where then it uses your profile and just throws all that stuff and does all the stats itself. Yeah. It seems like you have to submit your information to them, which is then makes it, one, inaccurate, and two, way too much work for me to actually be a part of this website.
Yeah, because then it's just you tracking everything.
Right, and I'm doing all the work too. Like I want to know, like how long have I played this, or how long did it take me to beat this? Not like I don't want to have to tell it.
Yeah, I played for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then also I don't believe anything else that's on the website.
No, I mean it's always like you said, it's looking at other websites where it's just one guy doing it or two guys doing it, and you're just like, well, yeah, that's because you sucked. I watched you. You died 100 times. Of course, it took you 30 hours. It's always tough to make those comparisons. I think it's just another site to add into the collective knowledge of just like if you're researching a game and you see that the roadmap says 20 hours and you see that this site says 25 hours and you see someone else say 40 hours, you're just like, I have a general idea. If you see one says 20, one says 100, and one says I beat in 10 minutes, then you're just like, well, fuck all you guys, I have no idea.
Well, that's why when I originally looked at the site, which it might be this way, I just don't know, it would say like, oh, time to beat, 15 hours, 23 minutes. Because it was that specific, I was like, oh, maybe they actually are tracking all this information.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are.
No. Well, they're tracking it in terms of, they're probably putting everything in debates that people submit. But obviously, if you submitted,
it's garbage.
I beat the game in 10 minutes on a 100-hour game, then, it just gets factored in. Yeah. And there's like, whatever, one guy beat it in 10 minutes, so now it's 99 hours instead of 100 hours. I liked the website. I liked how it was designed when I looked at it.
I still will look up games, I think, occasionally to be like, hey, should I get this game? Is this a 10-hour game or is this a 100-hour game? So.
But it won't be a website I back, like you said, just because
I'm not going
to track myself.
Yeah.
I get on tangents of games that I maybe don't play or I pick up for a long time or put down for a long time or whatever it's going to be. So I'm not just going to keep an Excel page on my own computer that's just like, okay, I'm going back to Grand Theft Auto 4. Let me tally up 2 hours today. And the next thing you know, I'm just, have 500 sheets. And I'm just like, hold on, let me pull up the sheet for Blue Dragon. All right, here we go.
Right.
See how long I've been playing this. Plus, I think Caitlin would divorce me.
She has the right to, I mean.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She's probably already making a list.
What I can divorce you for.
Yeah, like everything to put on the subpoena. Yeah. So another thing is that I've sort of been in the video game buying mode recently, the last couple weeks.
Money, money, money.
Get
that song.
Money. Now. Get the rest of that song right now and put it in there? Okay.
Put the whole song. The whole
entire song. Hey, guys, enjoy the next couple of minutes because it's going to be on top of that song. But I think it's because I haven't been super thrilled with anything I've been playing right now.
Yep.
Not to the fault of the games, but I just kind of have like video game ADD where nothing really grabs my attention. So I've been buying up games that I probably shouldn't because I already have a huge backlog of games. Not to help the situation, but last couple weeks, or last week or so, was the Ultimate Game Sale on Xbox. So
I was almost going to buy something on there.
Really?
Almost.
What were you almost going to buy?
State of Decay.
Okay.
Because I think State of Decay was about $5.
Yeah, and
as
it's a really good game.
Normally 15 or 20.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't is because what I do now is anytime I'm about to buy a game, I walk into the spare bedroom and I look at my shelf of games, and then I go,
right, now,
don't do this.
Don't do it, Phil. Don't you do it.
Yeah.
And you have that huge digital shelf of Steam games.
Yeah, so then I just walk back and I go, I'll use that $5 for Saints Row DLC or something like that.
Yeah, but for me, it was like a perfect storm of not being happy with any of the games I was playing right now and being a sucker for deals.
Yeah.
So Microsoft hit it right at the perfect time for me.
Yeah. So what'd you buy?
Well, I ended up buying Kinect Sports Rivals.
Okay.
Because it was like $10.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted it to begin with, even before I heard it was broken and stuff. I was like, I like the other Kinect Sports games, and it's fun to just have that around. So I got that. It was only $10. Then I ended up getting the Telltale Game Collection, which is all 5 games they've released so far, including the Game of Thrones and Tales from the Borderland that haven't come out yet, but it's packaged all together. So I have all of the Telltale games now on my Xbox One. So that's cool. I haven't played through them yet. And one of the reasons I got it wasn't just to have them, which I really wanted it to
double achievement points.
Double achievement. Well, not only like you get 1,000 points for each of those games now, but it's because of the TA score contest we're in right now. I was like, I want those are like, give me like 1,000-point games really easily. Like even if I'm just getting a 1-to-1 ratio, which I know it's a little bit better than that, but it's like, okay, I know I can get 1,000 points in a week. I can get 5,000 points if I had to. So that's sort of my safety net. That's one of the games that I've been building up. I'm like, okay, I got that in my back pocket right now. And I'm still waiting to play like the Game of Thrones episode 2. There's still that weird bug that doesn't save the progress. So until that's patched, I'm not even going to attempt to play that. But what I should have bought is like, because we had talked about before, I needed a game to play while I was editing. A game that I could play without sound. Didn't end up getting a game that fits that criteria.
Well, exactly. You could do the Telltale games, the ones you've already played.
I don't know though. You still have to pay attention to what they say before you can pick your option.
Yeah, but like you could have subtitles on. I don't know.
Yeah, but trying to read and listen to something else at the same time is not super
difficult.
Great. Yeah.
I was just thinking because obviously you've played through at least Walking Dead 1 multiple times to get like the 2 different, back and forth endings and stuff like that.
I wonder.
So I imagine you could just pop it in and play through an episode, but
I wonder what I should do. Should I try to recreate my original decisions I made in Walking Dead season 1 and 2?
Why?
Because when season 3 comes out, I want to have a consistent storyline. Same thing with Wolf Among Us. Do I do the same? Do I create the same Bigby that I did before, as far as decision making and like what kind of guy he was, or do I just go the opposite way to have fun with it because I've already done it? But then I would have to carry on those traits.
I don't know. That is something that you would have to decide.
Yeah.
I would say that go for the part of the game that you haven't seen before to at least make them more playable.
Yeah.
To me, because obviously, like you said, you've played, Walking Dead's both 1 and 2, and Wolf Among Us for sure all the way through. I'd rather start at the beginning, even knowing what you know now,
just go crazy with it,
and
probably
see what kind of choices you have that you didn't take.
Yeah.
Because then it at least makes it a slightly more interesting. Granted, sure, if you then get Walking Dead Season 3 or Wolf Among Us Season 2 and they carry over, you might feel a little pang of regret that you don't actually get to continue your Bigby.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could always... I don't think the carryover between seasons is that big, so you could technically start the next episode and just revert back. Like, you could make Bigby the biggest dick in season 1.
Yeah.
Then when 2 comes out, you could just make him a nice guy who just, like, gives everybody money.
Yeah, but it's also, you do make some decisions that probably have lasting effects.
Yeah. Big story-wise, sure. But, like, how much from besides like whether or not you spoiler.
Yeah. Well, you don't know.
I won't even say.
You don't know how it's going to turn out, anyways.
Yeah.
We assume that those decisions have consequences.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but we don't. Season 2 hasn't happened yet,
so who knows? When you deal with the bad guy, it's just like, okay. I mean, like
that's what I was mainly thinking of.
The one thing that carries over, but really, like you said, like they're not going to make 4 different versions of that game.
No,
they're going to make 2.
Yeah,
and then it's going to fix itself in episode 2.
Yeah.
You're going to start it, and they're going to be like, "Hey, I'm here. Remember, you left me here." And then it's just going to be like, in the next, 10 minutes, he's just going to be out, and it's going to be like if you left him alive, or left him dead, or threw him in a hole, or whatever the choices were.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways.
Cool beans.
But so instead, because I didn't buy a game that fit that criteria,
now you have to buy a game at full price.
No, I went back and started playing Destiny again. We'll do a little bit mini Destiny corner. We'll see how long this goes.
Okay.
But so as the time this episode has come out, last week they released a patch for Destiny that granted it was a pretty big patch, but one of the things is now there's matchmaking for their weekly heroic strikes, which previously you had to do on your own or find your own group. So for people that are unfamiliar, the strikes are you usually, if you're playing the normal ones, you get match made with 2 other people, so it's a group of 3, and you go in, and it's sort of an extended story mission with usually, 3 steps, and there's bosses, and there's other things to do, but it's like one complete long thing. And every week, there's a rotating mission that you're supposed to do, a rotating strike mission that is harder and has other modifiers attached to it, like it doesn't drop ammo for whatever weapon you're using, or void damage does a lot more, and things like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, up until this point, if you wanted to do those things and get the rewards, one of which was a specific currency that you would use to buy exotic gear, so you would need that. You had to do it on your own, or had to find a group of friends with it. And they decided that this was not as hard and difficult as I thought it was going to be. It's not as teamwork oriented as they originally thought it was going to be, like a raid or something.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we're going to add matchmaking now to the heroic weekly strikes. So that was good. Also, they finally fixed a bug that's been a problem since the game launched, which is if you had the perk, there was one of the perks that come with either your clothes or weapons or whatever, that you can carry more heavy ammo. If you had that perk, anytime you died or respawned, you lost heavy ammo, which was very hard to come by.
Okay.
So that's been a bug that's been a problem forever. They finally fixed that, even though they just kind of bothers me that they always go and fix things like the easy way to beat bosses in the raids, or the easy way to
leave bugs that
they leave bugs that really affect your game all the time, that literally do the opposite of what they're supposed to do. Also, it's people have been making fun of that the patch notes also include a bug in them, because they found a bug when they made some of these changes, but they haven't been able to fix it yet. So they just said, hey, we're working on this, but it's not fixed yet. So because one of the things they did was they changed the way fusion rifles work as far as like ammo and stuff. And fusion rifle is normally a special weapon or a secondary weapon, and there is an exotic weapon, which is the Vex Mytha class, which is actually a fusion rifle, but you use it as a primary weapon. So because that's why it's exotic, it's got different abilities, but because it's technically a fusion rifle, it got affected by the patch that they changed the way you don't get the same amount of ammo. So they're like, hey, just so you guys know, we're aware that your primary weapon, if you use this, is going to get affected by the new ammo rules. We're fixing it. So, whatever. Yeah. It's not that big a deal, but it is one of those things where it's like, okay, you fix one thing, you break another.
Yep.
Also, there's been a leaked footage of there's going to be a new social area, I guess, with either the next DLC or the big Comet DLC that's going to come out, and it's in the Reef. So right now you have the tower, which is on Earth, which, you commented on that you were upset that it was all just shopkeepers, even though it's literally just the place where you're supposed to go to buy stuff. So, yeah. I mean, it's like the mall. But there's supposedly
I like conversation.
I know. So there is now a new social area that's supposedly going to be released with the next DLC, which takes place on the Reef, which is like, one of the other areas. And there's been video of this and talk of this since, 2 years ago when they originally came out with one of the Vidocs that talked about the playable space there. So I don't know if this is just going to be another like version of the tower, which is all just shopkeepers too, or if it's going to be like, hey, you can get story missions from them or stuff. That's interesting, but it's nice to have the other choice.
Yeah, for sure. Even if they just, have different shops there. Like, even if you just take, like, half of the shops that were on the top one and just move them down. And
yeah.
It's like... Even,
hey, go here or there.
Yeah, granted, that would be the laziest thing to do, but as long as you have something different, there's a reason to go one versus the other. You're like, oh, man, only the Reef has sniper rifles. Something stupid.
Yeah.
But at least it gives you a point.
And it makes the universe feel bigger, too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think... that they would all of a sudden transform the Reef into a place where it's going to be like story missions and towns and conversations and all that stuff. Like, that's not going to happen. It's probably just going to be new shops and new characters and new bounties and just places to kind of go like the tower is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it'll make the world feel bigger, which is always a plus, especially for a game that's been getting a lot of flack that they've been cutting out parts of the world.
Right. Another update they made was for the app, so you can app on your smartphone, or you can actually use the same similar thing on your computer. But amongst all the other things they changed, the only thing that I really cared about is now you can manage your inventory like on those screens, meaning that you can put stuff in the vault or vice versa on your phone really quickly. So before, because you share a vault, which is where you go and put your extra resources or guns or character stuff, you share that through all the characters that you have through the game. So let's say you have 3 characters like I do. Instead of spending the time to max out 3 of the same sniper rifle, I just pass that one sniper rifle between the 3 guys because I can only play one at a time anyways. So I'm constantly going to the tower, putting stuff in the vault, going back to the main menu, switching. Like, you have to go through all these load screens to do that. Now you can just do that with a couple clicks of your finger or of the mouse, which is super, super helpful. So that was like a really good improvement. So I'm really glad they did that. Another thing on the social side of it is we talked about it once before, but these users created their own website, which is called Destiny LFG, which is looking for group, right? So because there isn't matchmaking in every aspect of the game, there's this website you can go to find a couple guys to play with. And the way it's laid out is pretty simple. You fill out this little form that's like, hey, what's your game? Well, because like you're like, okay, what's your gamer tag? What's your
character?
What's your character? What level are you? What thing are you looking to do? Like, what specific thing are you looking to do? And then it puts you, it like posts a little like a, like it would like a Craigslist or like Help Wanted, where it's like, okay, there's this little bulletin board and it's like, hey, this is this character, he's looking to play this. So either you can search that way and look for other people, or you can post and let them send you messages, which is fun. And another cool thing is it only keeps information up for 5 minutes. So there's not like a huge wall and a million different characters.
Oh my God.
So there's usually only like 10 or 15 things in each category. Like, hey, I want to do the Nightfall Striker. Or, hey, I want to do the raid this week. And so you put it up and you have 5 minutes because they're assuming you'll find a group within those 5 minutes. If you don't, you can repost.
It's basically you're playing right now. You want a group.
And
it's
so,
not like I want to get a group of guys together on a weekly basis.
Exactly.
It's just like, no, I'm playing within 5 to 10 minutes. Hit me up.
Right. And so the reason I went to this website to begin with was because usually, we use True Achievements, we use TA, and I was like, hey, I want to level up, I want to max level my last character up. He's only 31 right now. I want to get him to 32, and to do that, I have to play the raid. And so I was like, okay, I went on TA. The most recent raid was going to be in 3 days, in like pretty early in the morning.
Yep.
And I would have been the 6th backup because so many people had already applied to it.
Jesus.
So I was like, there's no other one even listed. I'm not gonna post one. So I'm gonna go to the site and I want to do a raid right now.
Yeah.
Posted a couple times. I was not getting any messages. So instead of just being passive and letting the message come to me, I went and found somebody. And while I was doing that, somebody else then randomly sent me a message. So I was like, okay. So they posted, I posted I was level 31 Warlock, and then I wanted to play the raid on normal, and that's what they had posted on. So the guy sent me a message. I go into their group. I was the last guy. And I'm the only one that's now level 32. And I'm in their party, and I'm in their fire team, And this one guy starts basically saying, he's trying to be coy about it, but he's super obvious that he's like, he doesn't want to play with me because I'm level 31.
Sure.
And
he's at one level. Like, that's game breaking.
And yeah, I mean, and the reason I'm playing the raid is to get the gear that I have to play. Like, I've played it a bunch of times. I have 2 other level 32 characters. Like, I know what I'm doing, and I guarantee you I'm probably better than you at this game at this point. But yeah, he basically makes the host kick me out of the game because I'm not a level 32. Instead of asking me to change characters or do anything, they just boot me out of the thing, which is super shitty. It's like, you came and you found me. You posted that you were doing it on normal. I told you what level I was.
Yeah.
You invited me to your party. That was really shitty. Like, because the leader of the party was the guy that sent me the invite. That was the guy that posted on the website.
Yeah.
So it was this other random guy that was in there with him, but he shouldn't have listened to him. And they kicked me out of the fire team and didn't kick me out of the party. So they were like, oh shit, we didn't kick him out of the party. I was like, guys, first of all, I have plenty of level 32 characters. You could have asked me to switch, or you could have just asked me to leave. You guys don't have to be like dicks about it. So that was like a really shitty, just an online. It wasn't that bad, but it was just like one of those things where you're like, come on, man.
Well, it's just
like, don't act like that. Like, why?
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's
and they
gym
were
class all over again.
Right, and they were trying to.
It's very obvious you don't want me here.
Right, and like I said, they didn't outright say it ever. They were just like trying to talk code, and they were sort of like laughing to each other and be like, who's the party leader? Because that's how they were saying it.
Yeah,
and it was just like, okay, you guys are just being kids.
Those guys are just douchebags.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I have a lot of complaints with your story. Mainly, one is like, if they're all level 32 and that's the max level,
why are they playing?
Why are you playing?
Because you can get other guns and other resources and stuff. Another stupid thing they did with the title update, or when the DLC came out, is to upgrade those weapons and gear that you get in the raid. You can only get the upgrade materials in the raid as well.
Yeah.
So you have to continually keep playing the raid just to upgrade the stuff you already have.
Yeah. So, and the second is just like, why would you? Like, it's not like you joined and you were like 25 and you're like, can you guys help me beat the raid and I want to steal everything? You're just like, all my weapons were maxed out too, so I was fine. Like, I would have been fine. And that raid that we were doing too is a level 30 raid. I was already above the level of the characters we're going to face anyways. Yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, they were just being dicks. Anyways, so I'm like, F that. I decided to then do post for the Nightfall Strike, which is like the hardest strikes and stuff. There's all these modifiers and stuff. And so I did that. I found 2 guys. They were in Ireland, and they were buddies, and we had fun. We played the strike, no problem. Then we went through and we started doing all the other stuff. We did all the weekly and daily stuff we could because we were having fun playing together. Yeah. And it was a really nice, fun experience. And I did that. I've done that a couple times since then, where I've just posted to do random things here and there that require more than one person. So the website itself is great, but it's only as good as the people that end up using it.
Yeah.
So
there's always going to be a dick, though.
Right.
That's the thing. There's people,
and it wasn't even the guy that posted on the website.
No.
That was the thing too. And it wasn't like, okay, because sometimes when you're hanging out in social areas, you'll randomly get messages and things all the time because they're like, hey, we want to do this, we want to do that. It wasn't even that. I told you what level I was. You posted what you were doing, and you came and found me.
What it sounds like, in my guess, is that the person who wanted to kick you was probably like an actual, like a real friend with the person who was the host.
Yeah.
And the host was just like, yeah, I'll find a person for us. So like, I'll do the posting, and he was fine with you playing. But then, like, it's, be like, hey, come on, man, let's not let this random in here. And you're just like, well, come on, you said I could invite somebody.
Right.
And like, just kick them.
Yeah. It's stupid. That's the thing. No matter how stupid it is, and no matter how much intellectually I can become above it, when those things happen to you in the moment, you just get pissed off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like all the time.
It's generally why I don't play multiplayer.
I know. Yeah. But because of that, because I got these guys wouldn't let me do the stupid raid with them. At the time, the Iron Banner was going on, which is the multiplayer special event that goes on for a week. And they changed it now. One of the things they changed about it is that you can get the highest level gear if you max out your Iron Banner level. So I was like, okay, these guys aren't going to let me play the raid with them. I only need one more piece of gear anyways. I'm just going to get to level 4 or 5 of the Iron Banner. So I ended up just playing that all week, and I got the gear I needed anyways. It wasn't the raid gear, so it's not as cool. It looks different.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it was cool that I had that option too. Like, hey, I don't want to do single player. I'm going to do multiplayer instead. Usually I like it to be the other way around, but
circumstances.
Anywho, I think that's all of it.
Well, we did a whole news episode, everybody. Yep. All news, all the time. These are few and far between when we actually have stuff to talk about.
Yeah, usually sometimes we struggle to talk about news at all. Yeah. So it was nice to be able to just get a whole bunch of current events out there.
Yeah.
So
now we don't have to do it for like another month.